أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ونريد أن نمن على الذين استضعفوا في الأرض ونجعلهم أئمة ونجعلهم الوارثين ونمكن لهم في الأرض ونري فرعون وهامان وجنودهما منهم ما كانوا يحذرون وأوحينا إلى أم موسى أن ارضعيه فإذا خفت عليه فألقيه في اليم ولا تخافي ولا تحزني إنا رادوه إليك وجاعلوه من المرسلين الحمد لله
ধন্যবাদ জনাব মোহাম্মদ শাহাদাত হোসেন আপনার সুন্দর তেলাওয়াতের জন্য। সুধী মণ্ডলী, এবারে স্বাগত বক্তব্য রাখবেন ইসলামিক রিলিফ ওয়ার্ল্ডওয়াইড বাংলাদেশের সম্মানিত কান্ট্রি ডিরেক্টর জনাব মোহাম্মদ আকমল শরীফ। আমি জনাব মোহাম্মদ আকমল শরীফকে তার বক্তব্য উপস্থাপনের জন্য আহ্বান করছি।
Honorable Director General of NGO Bureau and Additional Secretary, Mr. K.M. Abdul Salam, our special guest for this evening. We are waiting for the chief guest, and I just got a message from him that he's busy in some meeting, and inshallah, he said that within 30 to 40 minutes time he will be here. So, but he has asked me, with his permission, that you please go ahead and start your program. You should not get late, because anyway we are going to end this program by 8 o'clock, inshallah. So our honorable special guest is here, and we are waiting for the chief guest to arrive. So dear friends, especially from the academic sector, there are many here this evening. Fellow colleagues from INGOs and civil society fraternity, member from media. We have some representation from banks, students, colleagues, friends. Welcome to this very important evening. We are here to celebrate and also to learn our 5 years success and limitations. This evening, inshallah, we will be discussing about 5-year integrated development program, sustainable development program, which Islamic Relief started in 2014 in the southern part of Bangladesh, in Tazumuddin, Bhola. This is a 5-year integrated development program which is ending in this month on 31st of March. So 5 years is a long period, and definitely when you reflect back and try to assess where you have reached, what were the objectives, whether you are able to do it or not. So the baseline and the end line both becomes important. So this evening, inshallah, we have commissioned a special end-line or evaluation, whatever you want to say, where distinguished professor from Dhaka University and his colleagues have conducted a thorough study of the impact of this project. Normally, I preferably don't want to use the word impact, because impact, when you say, normally it becomes the positive. And when you are implementing any program, everything can't be hunky-dory. It can't be positive. There are some learnings also. So we are expecting in a short while a couple of presentations. In addition to that, there are 2 more presentations which will be focusing on the same area. Those studies are around one is on climate adaptive and resilient crops, and another one is around riverbank erosion. So in addition to this end line or the evaluation, there are 2 more studies which will be presented by different faculty members from the academic fraternity. For Islamic Relief, this was a very important project, because in addition to Bangladesh, we did the same almost kind of project in 2 other countries in Africa. So there is a kind of internal kind of competition within the Islamic Relief also, that who does best. This particular project was integrated in many ways, because we looked into many components. I'm sure there will be a small one-pager in almost every flyer you will find, where we have described the different components what we have addressed in 5 years program. And just to give you a bit of snapshot, some of the things what we did in 5 years time is work on livelihoods, where we targeted around 3,000 families. We worked on cash for work program. We worked around supporting in DRR activities. We worked around agriculture support. We worked around on institutional development, which is through self-help group and then forming and organizing the community into the apex body, especially the female folks. And then we also supported around animal husbandry issues. I have to break my talk. Our honorable chief guest for the evening, the Senior Secretary of Department of Disaster and Relief, Mr. Janab Shah Kamal Sahab, he is here. So please give him a round of applause and welcome him, please. Thank you, sir, for coming over here. And my apologies that I was giving a call to you quite regularly. Just for the interest of our, I think for secretary, let me repeat it. This evening we all are here to celebrate and also to learn about our 5 years integrated sustainable development program, which we did in the southern part of the country, which is Tazumuddin Bhola. This is a very important project for Islamic Relief family, because we are doing this project in 2 other countries, especially in Africa. So we are trying to really understand what exactly we have achieved. This project is all about integration. This project is about looking into different components and try to provide a sustainable solution to the community through giving inputs around the area of livelihoods, around the area of DRR, around the area of agriculture, around the area of animal husbandry, around the area of, and the list goes on. So I'm sure when the presentation will take place, inshallah, you will get to know the detail about the project. So on behalf of Islamic Relief, I take this opportunity to welcome you all for this very important event, and we look forward through your presence and in the presence of our auspicious and respectful chief guest and the guest of honor. We will have a fruitful evening, inshallah. Thank you, Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum.
প্রথমে আমি আহ্বান জানাবো ঢাকা বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ের ইনস্টিটিউট অফ সোশ্যাল ওয়েলফেয়ার অ্যান্ড রিসার্চের সম্মানিত অধ্যাপক জনাব ডক্টর এম রেজাউল ইসলামকে তার গবেষণা সারসংক্ষেপ আমাদের সামনে উপস্থাপন করবার জন্য।
Basically, we actually covered some of the aspects as a research objective. First is about the displacement of the peoples, migrations, and their psychosocial vulnerabilities. Then I will particularly look on a very special issue, and this issue has not covered in many of the studies in this country about the social dignity. Then I will highlight some of the aspects of how disaster-affected peoples absolutely changes their social and economic conditions, and then what are the livelihood options and the coping strategies, and particularly in social resilience or community resilience, including the food security. And these are the main location of our study. Basically, we look Tazumuddin, then we look Burhanuddin, and we look in Daulat Khan. Actually, we selected these three areas because these are the massively affected areas of Bhola district. And these are the methodologies. I'm not going much about this one. We actually use the mixed method because of we want to get some of the aspects which are possible to provide the statistical information which are visible, and some aspects which are very hiding and very dark picture they are facing in their in the river erosion. Briefly about the demographic and social profile, we have got the male-headed families are 88%, and 51% cannot sign, only 21% are primary and 14 can sign, 11 secondary, and only 6% we found in postgraduate study. And most of the people were occupations are fishing in 36%, followed by day labor at 22%. And then the age of the household heads are found 26%, 31 to 40 years, and then followed by 22%, 41 to 50 years. If you look the economic profile, the monthly average income we found in 13,803 taka, and it is a bit lower than the normal income of the rural areas. If you look the average household expenditure 15,911 taka, it is bit low, higher than their income. I mean that's all of the peoples are in minus. Either they take loan or they take share their economic expenditures with other people. 80% had to pay loan, and its average taka was 1,14,621 per annum. I mean that 80% of those peoples are under the loan system. And if you look how they actually spend their money, food is the highest one in 7,207 taka, and loan payment followed 2,711 taka. I mean that's every month they have to pay this nearly 3,000 taka loan. If you look the health and education spent is really lower, 967 taka and 835 taka respectively. If you look the Upazila-wise statistics, 39% of the household in Burhanuddin had no access to land. I mean that 39%. It's much higher than the normal per capita land holdings in Bangladesh, and 28% in Daulat Khan and 23% in Tazumuddin. I mean that's nearly 25 to nearly 40% people in these three upazilas have no access to land. 79% to 93% in three areas, homestead land showed susceptibility to disaster. I mean that the disaster frequency among the households are very high, nearly 80 to 93%. And these are basically the expenditures per month in different ways that I already explained that one. But if you look in festivals, their income is higher and transport is higher. Even dowry, they have to pay a good number of money for dowry purpose. Housing, latrine, sanitation, practice, and water sources, if you look at, yes, most of the people have the access, tubal, water access, even washing their clothes and washing and cleaning their food. But the problem is that those areas are a bit far from their household. As a result, what they're facing, they're getting troubles. It is particularly important to the girls and women when they pass through to bring their water in all three purposes. They almost 60% they are saying that they are feeling unsafe of those areas to get access. I mean that the community is not very suitable for them to bring water for these three purposes. If we look the vulnerability issues, the main vulnerabilities of economic, social, and psychological, this is the very core part of this research. If you look at the vulnerability issues in economic, if you look at the statistics of that one, I mean that the statistics, it says that in every household, they have minimum 1 times river erosion. And this increased a lot if you look the 2013, 14, 15, 16, and 17, and it goes up to, in some families, they have 1 point more. I mean, that's every year they have suffering this kind of river erosion. If you look at 2013 to 2017 pictures, 64% they say that yes, they have 36% they are saying that they have. I cannot read that one. Emadul, can you read this one for me? I mean, there's degree to river erosions. I mean, there's, if you look the statistics to 2013 to 2007 finds about the homestead, still the yes percent is nearly 58%. I mean, that's in any way, either homestead or housings, they are getting this kind of river erosion. If you look this picture, the bottom on the left-hand side, I mean that they are getting these kind of problems and the type of disaster they are facing, the food security, injury, loss of employment. The highest one, 55% loss of homestead land and nearly 53% loss of land. I mean that, and the last one is loss of homestead land is also in 52%. So if you look the bottom on the right hand side is the Upazila wise. If you look the still 3-4 of these intervals they are facing 52, 51, 43, 51, and 46, and also in Tazumuddin and also in Dolotkar. I mean that's these kind of losses are very frequent among the household. If you go the psychosocial vulnerability, there's a very interesting picture of that one. If we look all of the variables here, we have asked in different ways about their psychosocial dignity, security, social capital, their comfortness, and their occupation change. In different ways, if you look, there's nearly 50% of all people, they are strongly agree. And if you say from agree to I strongly agree, this percentage is nearly 80%. I mean that 80% people, they are saying they are not comfortable with all of these variables. This is some interesting pictures about the qualitative study about the vulnerability of river erosion from FGDs in the case studies, also the KIS. If you read that one, this picture actually says that there is different dimensions of this picture. Many people are saying that yes, they are affected, but the problem is the benefit is that they are affected means that they are getting benefits. They are affected means that still they are saying that yes, river is their life because river gives them the occupations, income, and also the security. Even if they don't have any sort of these problems, they are not very happy because this river sometimes they're saying that yes, river destroys many things of their life, but in the other side they're saying that yes, river is their life because river gives them the livelihood. So these opposite pictures sometimes, we need a very rigorous study here how they're facing these kind of problems in 3-4 dimensions. For example, if you look, the 70 years one widows, our river be kind to us. Do not destroy our inherited house, our homestead land. O nodi nodi re ekটু দয়া কর ভাঙিস না আর বাপের ভিটা বসত বাড়ি ঘর. I mean that sometimes they actually sacrifice their whole of the thinking. That's how they actually, face with that one. Just give all of their intentions to God. That's how God actually, saves their life. And why it is? It is because they always become so much panic when they get this revelation. They have nothing to do. In fact, this kind of statement actually says something that they are actually beliefs in faith. They have no confidence on any source of initiatives provided by the government or non-government organization. If you look at another picture, the ash is still there if it is fueled by fire. They're saying that if you saw, আগুনে পুড়লে ছাই থাকে নদীতে ভাঙলে কিছুই থাকে না. It means that river is so destructive. River takes everything, and we cannot return back anything else from river. Migration and displacement, they're saying that migrations due to river erosions, the rate is nearly 95%. And 95% people, they must have to displace from their own origin and go in and some other places. How many times they are destroying? Nearly we got nearly 95%. They are saying that minimum one time they got this type of problems. It means that the frequency of that one is 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. If you look that one is if you look the 5 times is 10%, and 4 times is 11%, and 3 times is 19%, and 2 times is 22%. If you look at the last displacement of that one, those pictures give you some idea how they actually facing this type of problems deeply. If you look some of the other pictures and the causes of displacement, they have given a number of social causes. Most of the causes are very much related with their livelihood. If you look the last one, I cannot read it from here. Places of displacement. If you look the highest one, they have they are staying in the embankment. I mean that the embankment is their last, settlement destination. We have got some scenario about the qualitative study. Only the people who have money to buy new lands for building their new houses after river erosions, and no money cannot buy land, and they have to stay at the embankments. And in the embankments is their last destination. We have got some different pictures about that one. Many people are saying that yes, the government officers or the local government that is stealing their relief. But what's the natural scenario is that the real scenario is that we have got a very different pictures. We asked the one of the chairman or members. They are saying that yes, we have got, for examples, in 700 opportunities, and when 700 people they can give facilities. But the problem is the requirement might be 3,000. It means that we must have to give them half of their assistance to them. It means that it doesn't mean that they're stealing. The real scenario is different. I mean that they are trying to accommodate more people within their limited scope. I said, shortage of time is very difficult to explain many things. So their livelihood options, if you look that in Burhanuddin, Daulat Khan, and Tazumuddin's, and you see that yes rate is higher than the no. So if you go to give this one the major livelihood options, if you look, the highest percentage, 44%, they have the day laborers, and 47% especially they're catching fish as a day laborer. And satisfied about that one, the no is very high in Tazumuddin, but it is a bit lower in Burhanuddin, and it's nearly similar in Daulat Khan. We have got some qualitative pictures about that one. One woman, if you say in 85 years inside Purim, and they say that my house has been damaged 17 times in her whole life. And I have to stay very close of the rivers because in the different pictures is that they are living in a close of their a house because river is their source of income. I mean that they never change their places because they don't have any options. The second one is about Joinul Abidin, 55 years old man. They said that this river destroys our lives and properties, but it gives us income and food. We are solely dependent on this river. So, one person says that fishing is an addiction for us. Therefore, we do not do anything without fishing. I mean that fishing is the only option for them for their livelihood. Coping strategies, you say that's how they are thinking, for example, disaster, when the disaster comes, what sorts of problems they are facing? Salinity, then another one is cold wave, then tidals, then cyclone. Cyclone is the highest one. You look the bottom one, ways of reduced cost. I mean that they are taking low food during river evacuation. I mean that's this is the way of coping. If you look this one, still 32.3% they are saying that yes, they always sell their all livelihoods because of the cash money, even their cattle, even their lands and all things. I mean they are fully depends on their cattle during the river erosion. They sell all of this because of the cash money. They need to buy some food. If you come in the sources of relief, 71% still is coming from the government. I mean that NGOs response is really very poor. We have got only 27%. And community initiatives is really very, very poor. And individual initiative is only 0.6%. I mean that NGOs response on those areas is really very poor. And this is the miracle of that one. Those of the affected people, they are not getting any microcredit or something like that because they don't have the ability to pay that one. Might be this is the reason. Overlapping this one. If you look the food security, Boishak and the last one is Chotro is the very dangerous month. And they don't have, still 23% people, they don't have 2 meals. And this number is nearly 35% in Chotro. I mean that all of the year round, if you look the red one, still the green one, blue one is very small, but it has. But if you do like 2 meals, this percentage is not very low. I mean there's nearly 10% to 15 and in 30%. They have, they don't have 2 meals. And how we can incorporate all of the results in policy implications. We have reviewed thoroughly about the Vision 2020, 2021, the National Planning for Disaster Management 2016 to 2020, and Bangladesh Climate Change Strategies Action Plan, and 7th Five-Year Plan, Disaster Management Act 2012, Sustainable Development Goals SDGs, Paris Climate Change Agreement, and Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction. I mean that all of our findings may have some rooms to incorporate some of the ideas with all of these policy documents. And I have given some of the policy options the government may think. I mean, we are proposing that we need a river erosion friendly poverty reduction strategy that we don't have in this country. We need a holistic management approach. We need a community-based interventions. We need a more resilience and development-oriented disaster policy, a community-led post-disaster recovery policies. It might be all sorts of these look like this is a very common, but you need to think about from social perspective rather than the economic perspective. I mean that if you look the boost of the livelihood opportunities, we need some sort of income generation activities after the disaster. As we respond is very quickly, they will stay on the same place because community resilience is the first priority for river erosion. How many times we will provide the relief activities, all sorts of facilities. Restore local histories and culture. We put this, important points in our research. We didn't find anything else in the previous study, because river erosion actually destroys many of our stories and local culture. Inclusive rehabilitation policy for river victims. Social campaigning is very needed, because all of the people are very illiterate and they are thinking that to stay here it means that they will destroy. I mean, that social campaigning gave some sort of confidence among them. An appropriate food policy for the river affected people who are looking, we identified here that 2 meals, how many percentages are there, and 3 meals, the percentage is low, but still there are some percentages. And some supporting programs might be, recreational, cultural programs or social programs might be very useful. I'm really sorry to say that I don't get proper time to explain all sorts of things within very short times. And thank you very much. Any question and answer, please.
You have presented your paper, a thought-provoking paper, and also a very much informative paper and informative study. Lastly, you mentioned some policy recommendations. Yes, I would like to congratulate you that you have drawn these policy recommendations in the light of the Vision 2021 National Plan for Disaster Management, SDG,
Dr. Robiel, can you
so
just
on.
please
My question is that, yes, your research methodology, what is the justification to select the sample size 371? This is my first question. My second observation is that, which sampling technique have you used to select this sample size? It is not clear in your methodology part. And third one is, do you have used any statistical formula to select the sample size 371? Thank you.
Crazies and Morgan's specific theories, according to total numbers of the 3 unions, we have got this number 371, this number. And there is a very clear cut. It comes automatically. And this is the qualitative patterns. We selected that one in a purposive way. And to look the mixed method, this is, I told you that we want to get some ground level informations. On the other hand, we want to visualize some of the statistical informations. And that's the things, actually.
I have some questions, maybe need to clear myself. You applied mixed method. So qualitative method is very good, very nice. You applied triangulated everything. But in quantitative method, you asked 371%. This is fine. But I want to know who are the respondent, and because this is a river erosion area. So this is one thing. Maybe you can say very nicely.
Our unit of analysis was household. I mean, we asked the questions of household head, either male or female.
How did you catch up them? Because this is a river erosion, 90% people are not there. Right. How did you catch them?
No. They are settling, on the embankment area. We took all of the information from them. We already settled there, still staying there.
Anyway,
we talked with the local administrations and Union Parishad chairman and also the members of the Union Parishad. Then we find out those people who are more sufferer.
This is fine. Maybe you follow
it's on a basis of the household number in a systematic. If there is, for example, in 200 people, if we select in 10, so every 20 household we select that one. It's through one by one, yes. Food security, straightly we ask about the one. And the social dignity, absolutely on the basis of the, we use in a Likert 7 scales, one things, and another things in FGD, and in-depth case study, and also the KIS. We actually triangulated all of sources together.
I would like to thank Professor Rizaul Islam for nice presentation and selecting the issue that are very much concerned with the development of Bangladesh. But all things have been presented here, but I have a little question.
Right.
River erosion has some psychological impact.
Right.
If these issues addressed here, I think it will be helpful for the policy implication, and what types of mechanism may be taken to address the psychological
Yeah, if
impact.
you look, these picture all are psychological. All.
Still very little.
All. Yeah, that's the
Understand.
things I could not read even. I cannot. I think so it will be in a bigger screen, so I put through this way. But if you look, all are social or psychological. Some places are social, some are psychological. For example, riverbank erosion has decreased our social esteem. It's a psychological. If you look that riverbank erosion has created psychological problem. One thing. I mean that Likert scale gives you some way of thinking from multiple angles. We are asking the similar question, but in different way, so that we can calculate the right measurement of that one. If we go through the analysis of that one, nearly 1.5 pages analysis, we give different sorts of dimensions that one.
But considering that all points of view, 3,000 household, 4 Indians is a small areas as well as the beneficiaries. So you said that only 88% you interview male-headed household.
Right.
And that's meant 12% you interview women-headed household.
Right, sure.
So I think it's the gender, not a balance area.
No, it's not the women headed actually. Women were not. Women was present on that time actually.
But
we did not divide who are women
That's
headed.
a big questions about the gender
Right.
friendly studies.
Yeah.
Similarly, all your team are considered male members. These types of studies, especially you consider psychosocial as well as economic analysis of that area, at least 2 of your team members should be a female, so that they can take the female informations as well as male.
No.
Yeah, sure.
Our
And
data collect.
Let I considering that you said that when you monthly average income per household, you said 13,000 some taka. It is, you mentioned also in 18,000 household national average, and you may say average household expenditure. You said a minus percentage is there.
So it's a really good research and a very hard job, and covered much population. Regarding my focus on psychosocial factor, so the findings is I found that 48% psychosocial vulnerability, they agreed. So after the findings, did they got any psychosocial support, or what are the management there? It's one question, and another is the what about the children of the those family, the scenario of children's psychosocial factor, because it's too much traumatic situation.
Aged people, question for the children and question for the pregnant women. We have actually, but we cannot explain it in a separately. That's why we put bring some of the findings together because of the shortage of time. But we have the question and we have the sufferings picture, especially the qualitative scenario there, how they are facing this one.
বাংলাদেশ কৃষি বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ের অধ্যাপক ডক্টর মোহাম্মদ আব্দুল কাদেরকে তার গবেষণার সার সংক্ষেপ উপস্থাপনের জন্য
I am welcoming you all to our research findings sharing on the action research for introducing or promoting climate adaptive and resilient crops at Tazumuddin, Bhola. And I am a professor in the Department of Agronomy. Along with me, Professor Dr. M. Jahangir Alam from the Department of Agribusiness and Marketing, and Professor Dr. Mohammad Abdul Momen Mia, Department of Agricultural Extension Education, all from Bangladesh Agricultural University. They were with me in this research. As you are already familiar with this area, Tazumuddin, so I'm not going to tell anything about Tazumuddin, but of course I will try to justify why did we do this study in that area, and then I will try to explain what we have done exactly and what we have found, and based on the results we found, we have some recommendations to share with you. We all know that agriculture, this is one of the very important sectors in the economy of Bangladesh, and which contributes about 17% of the total GDP, and employs around 45% of the total population. We feel very happy when we see that the country ranks 10 among the top 20 food producing nations of the world. And also, we feel very proud when we see that we are nearly self-sufficient in food production, particularly in rice. And if you look at the graph here, you see during 1971-72, we had rice yield nearly 1 million ton from 1 million hectare of land. And currently in 2016-17, still we are having nearly 1 million hectare of acreage, but the total production jumped to nearly 3.5 million ton, which is more than 3.5 times higher than the yield or production what we had during 71-72, meaning that we got a tremendous improvement, development in the agriculture sector in crop production. But now we are facing some challenges in different areas, different parts of the countries. Particularly, we have some vulnerable areas, as you have heard already, like the coastal area in the southern part of the country, Haor area in northeastern part, Chor area, northern part of the country, Barind area, northwestern part of the country, and hill area also bit southeastern and northeastern part. And in all these areas, crop production are being affected for different vulnerable climate and vulnerable environment, including Tazumuddin and particularly if we say including the coastal south area. And the major problems, already you have heard some of the problems from the earlier presentation, but in terms of crop production, if we try to specify, the important problem is long submergence during or after monsoon and late harvest of tea almond rice. We have 3 cropping seasons, Kharif 1, Kharif 2 and Rabi. Kharif 2, it starts from actually July, August. If you don't have any background on agriculture, just to tell you. So Kharif 2, it starts with July, August, and mostly we grow tea almond rice. So July, August, you can imagine it's a monsoon season, rainy season, and in the southern part, normally we have a lot of rainfall. And since this is low-lying area, so rainfall continues until October, November, and the area remains waterlogged even during December and January. This picture was taken sometimes at the end of December in Khulna area. So you can see the area is still waterlogged, whereas our Rabi season, winter crops, it starts from November. So that means since the land is still occupied by almond rice and it is waterlogged, so we cannot go for Rabi crops in many cases. So this is one problem. Another problem is it starts from January when dry season comes and the land becomes affected, the land is affected by salinity and also drought. And this picture were also taken from the southern part of the country. And you see this is a Boro rice field. And you can see all these salt crusts are there. And this picture was taken sometimes in March. And this is also during March, and you can see the soil crack because of the drought problem. There is no water, and they don't have irrigation facilities as well. And this is the problem during March, April. But on the other hand, sometimes in this area, we have plenty of early rainfall. And this rainfall was during April. So you can see in April, we start the Kharif 1 crop, and in many occasions, the crop is affected by waterlogging. So that means they are having a lot of environmental problems in the southern part of the area, including the Tazumuddin Upazila of Bhola district. And as a result, their cropping intensity is very low. We have 257% in Kustia, whereas if you go a bit south, so the cropping intensity, it is 146, 148%. That means number of crops they grow is much lower than the other part of the country. And also the yield. You see the highest yield, Boro rice yield is 4.72, whereas this is in Bhola 3.52. Even in Putuakali, this is 2.65, nearly half. So that means crop intensity is low, crop productivity is low, and also crop diversity is very low. If we look at the cropping pattern, existing cropping pattern in that area, so you see Kharif 2, all the transplant almond rice. And Rabi, mung bean, groundnut, potato, boro rice, chili. These are the major crops we found we found in that area. But Kharif 1, it is totally fallow. The land, normally they don't grow any crop. So cropping only rice, and in some cases mung bean, groundnut, this diversity is also very limited. As a result, what is happening, I mean, in some cases they keep the land low, and also sometimes their management is not up to the mark. You can see this is a field. I mean, you see the plants hardly you see. This is a mung bean field. I took the picture very recently from Bhola district. And also this is a field with a very little plant population. So what does it mean? Their cropping intensity is low, crop productivity is low, crop diversity is low, and ultimately their income is low, which is causing their food insecurity and livelihood, affecting the livelihood. So how to increase the productivity of the crop? As an agriculturist, we know that in that area where the crop production is affected by environment, we have two options. One is selection of the crop or variety. I mean, we have to select climate adaptive crop, climate resilient crop, which crop can grow better in that environment. So this is one point. And another point is management. If you do the good management, still you can harvest some good crop from that affected area. So with these points, we tried to set the objectives of the study. We try to identify the best suited crops, and also to introduce the crops in that area. And finally, our one of the objective was to train up the farmers so that the findings what we found, they can go with that adoption of that crop and to increase their productivity. And we did this study in two areas of Tazumuddin Upazila. One was in Badlipur, and another one is in Chasra. So we selected the farmers field, and then in the farmers field, along with the farmers practiced crop, we tried to adopt our new crops in that area with some intervention with the management practices. And what we did during Rabi season, as we saw in the earlier slide, that they mostly grow mung bean, groundnut, potato, chili. Along with those crops, we tried to introduce some of the climate adaptive crops like sunflower, maize, wheat, barley, tomato, brinjal, bitter gourd, and boro rice. And also during Kharif 1, when the farmers, they keep their land totally fallow, we try to grow some crops like maize, sesame, soybean, jute, house rice, and so on. And in transplant, during Kharif 2 season, along with, for transplant almond rice, we tried to introduce some new varieties. And what we found, so during Rabi season, you can see these crops, the newly introduced sunflower, maize, barley, and they are known as salinity tolerant crop as well as drought tolerant crop. So compared to the farmers' practice, all these crops, their performance was much better than the farmers' practice crop. Even soybean, tomato, and during Kharif 1 season, we found a crop which is jute that grows much better in that area. When we try to estimate the profitability of the crops, so say the Rabi crops, we measured the functioning. So we measured the total profit along with the duration of the crop, and then we try to measure the benefit cost ratio. And we can see the newly introduced crop, very hardly. Okay. Okay. So you can see the PCR in the right-hand column of the farmer's practice crop, which is just 1.03 for potato, and the remaining crops it's less than 1. That means farmers, they don't get any profit at all. But in our case, sunflower, soybean, maize, barley, tomato, all are with high profitability and high BCR. In case of Kharif 1 crops, so you can see in both the location, maize and jute, these crops can be grown with a very high profit. Although farmers, they just keep their lands fallow during that part of the year. And during almond season, we also saw that some of the varieties, they perform better than the farmers. One, particularly Breedon 49, which gave 1.77 BCR. And in case of farmers practice, the Boson, that was the best crop, giving 1.41 BCR. So then, considering all the three seasons, we tried to compare the profitability of our introduced crop, climate resilient crops, in comparison with the farmers' practice. And what we found, you can see in the rightmost column, profit over farmers' best pattern. So what we got, the farmers' best pattern is potato, fallow, and transplant almond rice variety Boson. It gave 40,000 taka per hectare profit, whereas in our case, over the farmers' practice like tomato, jute, and Amandan, Breedon 49, or maize, sunflower with jute, and Kharif maize, sunflower, they gave much more profit than the farmers' practice. So with this thing, we also showed by making the calendar, so farmers, if they start their almond rice, during Kharif 2 almond rice, as I said, due to submergence and farmers grow traditional rice cultivar in most of the cases, and they transplant the rice even after the August. But if they start from July, end of July, so they can harvest the almond rice in November, and right away from November, they can go for the Rabi crops. And after harvesting the Rabi crops, they can go for the Kharif 1 crops, and we selected the crops here based on the profitability. So we identified some of the cropping patterns with climate resilient crops, which gave much more profit than the farmers' practice. So we recommended that these, particularly the Rabi crops and Kharif 1 crops, they can be introduced in that area. And to introduce those crops, we suggested some points how to motivate the farmer and how to make availability of the technology and the seeds and other things to the farmers. And we believe that if those technologies, what we found or what we introduced, if they can be disseminated among the farmers, they can increase their crop production and they can increase their income and they can improve their livelihood in that area. And of course, to do this research, we got the funding from Islamic Relief Worldwide Bangladesh, we acknowledge, and also we acknowledge support from Islamic Relief Worldwide Bangladesh, all this stuff. And particularly, I should acknowledge the support from Upazila Agriculture Office, particularly Upazila Agriculture Officer. He is here, and he was helping our team quite a lot. And also, we acknowledge the farmers who cooperated all the way during this study. And thank you very much for your attention. Yes, yes. Question answer, please. Questioning. Thank you very much for raising these good points. The first one is, of course, there is a possibility to go for homestead gardening, vegetable production, and fruit production. Actually, I worked with another project which was funded by ACI, and they were working with the poor, ultra-poor farmers, and they tried to introduce some of the model for growing vegetables and fruits in the homestead area. Of course, that's a very good opportunity because they have some homestead area which usually they don't use. So there is an opportunity for there. And for the new crops, of course, in our recommendation, I just passed a bit quickly. You see this one. Marketing of the new crops is to be strengthened. And not only marketing, we said that use of the new crops locally. For example, sunflower. So we need to adopt the technology so that they can extract the oil from sunflower locally and they can also use it. So we stressed on both these things. Now it's the policymakers, what they are going to do. Thank you very much. Yes, your paper is a scientific paper, and just you are trying to show what kind of crops are adapted in this area. But my question is that what is the way to sensitize our farmers to grow these crops? What is the way? It is my query to you, please.
Thank you very much. It's a kind of motivation. This is a very good technology, and once farmer, they can see that this is a very highly profitable crop, and they see all the inputs they need, these are available, of course they will go. What government can do, government has these DAE, DLS, or I mean this public sector, particularly DAE. So they can go through DAE to motivate the farmers and also to supply the inputs, particularly the seeds of the crops, because the seeds are not, may not be locally available. So government can include their department, particularly DAE, and they can go to the farmers directly. They can do a lot of motivational work.
আমি একটু বলতে চাই, আমাদের এখানে উপজেলা এগ্রিকালচার অফিসার আছেন, আমাদের রিসার্চের পরবর্তীতে আমরা 30 জন ফার্মারের মাধ্যমে, আমি আশা করব যে আপনি যদি 1 মিনিট কিছু বলেন যে কিভাবে আমরা কাজটা চালিয়ে যাচ্ছি এই বিষয়টা।
ধন্যবাদ। As per your recommendations, sir, I mentioned you. We have already started demonstration. You know the way to motivate our farmers. The demonstration is the best level. So for this reason, new crops you introduce, you recommended that sunflower, maize, barley, soybean for Rabi crops. We have already started demo for this new crops, and we hope this will be popularized this area, especially Tazumuddin.
ধন্যবাদ আপনাকে।
থ্যাঙ্কস।
আর যদি কোনো প্রশ্ন না থাকে আমরা স্যারকে একটা ধন্যবাদ দেই।
My query is that condition of the research methodology here. So my observation is that which kind of research methodology have you used here? Actually, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is a presentation and you have a time shortage, and for crop science research, we know the methodology. If you go to do this research, you have the treatments, like the crops are the treatments, and then you use a statistical design. We used RCPD, randomized complete block design with 3 replication, and the different crops, they are the treatments.
প্রায় 5 বছর মেয়াদী ইন্টিগ্রেটেড সাস্টেইনেবল ডেভেলপমেন্ট প্রকল্পটি এই মাসের 31 তারিখে শেষ হতে যাচ্ছে এবং ইতোমধ্যে এর চূড়ান্ত মূল্যায়নও সম্পন্ন হয়েছে। এই মূল্যায়ন যজ্ঞের নেতৃত্বে ছিলেন ঢাকা বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ের সমাজবিজ্ঞান বিভাগের সম্মানিত অধ্যাপক জনাব সালমা আক্তার। আমি জনাব সালমা আক্তারকে তার মূল্যায়নের সারসংক্ষেপ উপস্থাপন করবার জন্য অনুরোধ করছি।
The title of the presentation is Inline Evaluation, Integrated Sustainable Development for Climate Vulnerable Ultra-Poor Communities of Southern Bangladesh, ISD Climb UP project. It was commissioned by Islamic Relief and it was conducted by Arcade Foundation, and along with me, my team members, Mohammad Nasiruddin Khan, Mahbub Rahman, Jahirul Islam and Tasnim Kayum had been supporting me during the study. And I'm Professor Salma Akhtar, I'm the team leader, I'm presenting the study. A little bit of the background in the beginning. As you understand, the study was actually designed to empower the climate vulnerable communities and the households by ensuring their income, food, livelihood security with other basic services, and build resilience and sustainability among the community by reducing the extreme poverty situation in one of the disaster-prone districts in Bangladesh. The study started in October 2014 and it was ended in 2018 as per the plan, and the study was conducted in around in 2018. And it was obviously conducted in Tazumuddin Upazila, Bhola. You know the background already. 4 unions had been selected: Chachra, Chandpur, Shonapur, and Shambhupur. And the sample was actually proportionately collected from these areas. This is showing the background study area, and as my colleagues has already mentioned you, that this is a very disaster prone area, and access to land and access to resources had been limited to the very ultra poor communities. So we'll focus on the baseline and endline comparison of those accessibility. Before that, I'd like to talk a little bit about the methodology. We followed a very standard procedure. We started with reviewing the existing resources, which helped us to construct a detailed field plan and as well as the data collection tools. We made use of qualitative and quantitative data collection tools. We did 500 surveys among the beneficiaries, and this is really interesting that 20% of them were actually female-headed households. And we conducted 15 FGDs with the community people, apex body, and beneficiaries. We have also conducted key informant interviews of 12, which included the Union Parishad Chairman, UNO, and several government officials. So I start from the economic status, socio-economic status of the population. And as we see here, that if we look into the earning members of the family, and most of the households actually have 2 members involved in any kind of IGS, followed by more than 2 members involved. Only 70% of the families have, 17% of the families have only 1 member, which means that people have more affordability and more IGS. If we look into the education level of the children, we'd like to mention here that 71% of the households had school-going children, among which 99.6% children were attending a madrasa or a school education. If we compare with the baseline, it was 96. So there is a significant increase in that. Another issue was on health, water, and sanitation behavior. So main source of drinking water was not much changed. It was 97% people who were using tube well, and we find that it's a little bit increased. 99.2% of the population are now accessing tube wells. Regarding the hygienic toilet facilities, we see here that proper sanitary latrine were almost absent in the baseline, but now around 35% of the population are using proper sanitary latrine. And if we look into the moderate latrine facilities, it's also gone up quite significantly. Around 16% of the population are using moderate latrine. And if we go on to the negative side of the story, that earlier people were having poor latrine, open defecation, and hanging latrines, now these are almost zero, which means a very healthy hygienic sanitation practices are there. And if people are using, whether they're using soap or any kind of materials for cleaning their hand, 94% are doing that. Regarding the waterborne diseases, we find that in the baseline it was 60%, and now in the end line it's 23%, which means almost 2/3 of waterborne diseases are reduced. But if we look into the pattern of the waterborne diseases and the cause, we find that diarrhea is still a prominent one. And from among this 23%, actually majority were suffering from diarrhea, jaundice, some were with skin diseases and cholera. But I would like to mention here that the number seems a little bit high here, because the study was conducted during the monsoon time, and diarrhea was a very epidemic at that moment all over the country. So the percentage may show a little higher than the usual one. The involved on the IGS, we find that almost 99 to 100% population are involved in any kind of IGA. The lowest one is in Shonapur, is 97%. And what kind of activities people are involved in? We can see that poultry is the highest one, 67%, then followed by cow rearing and fattening is 47%, agriculture is 41%, and other goat rearing and others are following. The other activities are rickshaw pulling, fish cultivation, driving, tailoring, handicrafts, net making, shopkeeping. So actually we can see here that majority of the people are actually involved in livestock, and around 50% are in the agriculture. If we look into the income and expenditure pattern of the country, so the population, we can see that the mean monthly income of the households is around average 13,000 taka, except Shambhupur 8,000 taka. And we can find that the population is quite homogeneous because the variation is not much significant, which also means that they are having a reasonable level of income. And also, if we look into the average income, it shows very sharp increase. The baseline was showing 3,511 taka, and the result-based monitoring the study was showing is 10,838. Our study is showing a little increase, is 12,757, which means people are getting better off. At least they're reducing their poverty level. Regarding the food consumption and the coping strategies, we had a question that whether people are having 3 times a meal every day around the year, and that's also quite significant. Earlier it was only 2%, now it's 87%. It's a huge increase in people having everyday meal regularly. And if we look into the food consumption pattern and the nutritional intake, we can see that the acceptable dietary cluster, earlier it was 78%, now it's 97%, almost near 100%. And borderline was 20, now it's reduced to 2.8. Poor dietary cluster is almost insignificant. And regarding the disaster-related knowledges, as we have heard that this is a very disaster-prone areas, so people are, 80% are very seriously aware about the disaster the community is experiencing, and the common disasters the community perceived are floods, strong wind, landslide, cyclone, tornado, and also health epidemic. And if we know into that what people are actually doing before and after or regarding the disaster, we can see that very rightly they are doing stockpiling food, storage of drinking water, they are protecting or raising their belongingness, they are storing medicine, they are moving their livestock, and also they are preparing for the safety kit, which is very promising and I think encouraging that they are aware about that and they're practicing. Also they're strengthening their house and they're reserving their fuel, they're keeping children from going out and checking their electricity safety. And if we look into that during the disaster, we can see that people are focusing more on strengthening their house and also regularly listening to the radio. So during disaster, 31% people are listening to radio. I think this is one of the issues that can be taken care of, that people can actually increase their access to radio. And another issue which actually, there are excellent other issues here, helping vulnerable people and also collecting fuel wood and regularly checking the water level. But one thing is concerning that 18% people say they're doing nothing. So actually there's another focus that we have to think about, that why these people are not taking any kind of activities. As we have seen that one of the major issues of the program was women and child right. So we see that that's also increased very significantly. It was almost 6% in the baseline, and now in the end line is 50%. And regarding the type of women's rights, what they are focusing are to be educated, freeing from violence, decision-making, freeing from discrimination, equal rights, equal wages, participation in social events, owning property. This is very interesting that even in the urban areas, women are not much aware about the owning property and equal rights, but we see that they are having much better perception regarding that. And if we look into the child rights, 63% mentioned that they are quite aware about the child rights. And regarding the child rights, they mention about education, nutrition, health, recreation, and participation. This is also interesting. The child participation is not much counted in Bangladesh research or program activities, but now that we can see that they perceive the child rights and child participation is important. If we look into the targeted versus achieved of the project indicators, the first one outcome was at least 80% of the targeted 3,000 ultra-poor households of the Tazumuddin sub-districts have increased their income above £1 a day at the end of the project period. So if we go on the performance indicators, the first one is that this self-help groups and apex body operating independently, target was 80%, they achieved 100%. And self-help group members have sustainable access to self-help interest, profit-free microfinance services. That was target was 75%, achieved 100%. And percentage of household established income generating activities, target was 80%, achieved 99%. And household change in household income, 1 day percent, 1 day, 1 pound per day. We see that in the baseline it was 16% and in the end line it was 92.20%. So that's a huge increase. And percentage of household change in an acceptable level. Here we see that 78% households are in acceptable dietary cluster, and it's increased as you have mentioned earlier, that the poor dietary percentage is getting quite low. And the last one is percentage of household has improved knowledge on climate resilient livelihood options. Its target was 50%, and here we see 60% of the households have a knowledge. So that's also a significant increase. The second outcome was the targeted households of these sub-districts have a lower rate of waterborne diseases by the end of the project. Percent of reduction of waterborne diseases, as you have seen, the target was 60%, and in baseline it was 47%, in line it was 23.4%, so which means that it fulfilled the target. And percent of people of the targeted households have proper hygienic practice. It was 60% target and 93.40% had been achieved. The third outcome was children and women's rights are upheld by the targeted communities. So one performance indicator was percentage of school-going children, 85% was the target, 99.6% achieved. Percent of school-going children have completed full year of schooling, 80% targeted, 100% completion. And self-help group members and community leaders have demonstrated protective and responsive behavior towards women and children issues. The target was 65%, achieved 63.2% and 50.4%. I think this is another area that the project needs to focus on, that the more activities need to be done regarding that. Before I conclude, I would like to also add a few points that our focus group discussion and the KII included, and as I can see that our government official partners are here. So I would like to add that what they were perceiving about this program. The interview with the Upajila Agriculture Officer, he was very encouragingly suggesting that these activities they are supporting are actually homestead gardening and saline tolerant varieties, and he was suggesting that market linkages and distributing high yield varieties, focus on more agriculture activities could be a way to support the integrated program. The Upajila Women Officer was very positively focusing on the fact that this is not only focusing on economic, but it was also focusing on social cultural aspects of women's life and child rights, and she was very rightly mentioning that this IGA and hygienic behavior and all this integrated effort was actually sort of rising women's rights, child rights, and awareness regarding the community. And the livestock officer was mentioning about that the services they are providing towards the beneficiaries. As we have seen, a huge number of women are actually involved in livestock, and also the cooperative officer was suggesting that. And one Union Parishad chairman was actually mentioning that during his stay, he, as the Union Parishad member, he was suggesting that he can see the integrity of this program, and he was saying that people can perceive the participatory when people are actually feeling like owning the program. So I think that these are the findings that we have. We have only a couple of suggestions, that recommendations. One was, as I mentioned earlier, the focus more on the women and child rights issues, and while they are doing this integrated approaches, as the agriculture officer suggested, more market-oriented activities and scaling up can be done. Thank you so much. Oh, question, okay, sorry.
Thanks for nice presentation, and you have already included all these issues that are the targets of the program. And achievement is very high, so we would like to thank the program operators who are executing the programs. But I have a little questions to you. Is there any relationship between the awareness about women's rights, child rights, disaster management, between the other social indicators, such as education, gender, etc.? Is there any relationship?
Quantitative part of the study, that whether there was any, we had any gender disaggregated data on the awareness regarding that, but from the qualitative study, it's very clear that these are very much related. As we have mentioned, that 20% of, more than 20% were female-headed households. Women were involved in the IGAs, they were sending their children to school, and they were very much aware about the child rights and women rights. And when we were showing the indicators, it shows that they're really aware about the facts because they were talking about the factors. So the qualitative part very straightforward, directly linked this. But for the quantitative, we have to look into the gender disadvantage. In this report, we have included what are the percentage of the displacement and what are the impact of that. And as we have already heard from my learned colleagues, they have mentioned that there is a high disaster-affected population. So obviously, displacement is a huge issue. But as you have seen, that the IGA are very much related to non-agriculture and non-land-based activities, poultry and other things, which automatically relates that when they're displaced, still they have got something. And we have got loads of FGD and KII informations where it's showing that women are getting more and more involved with the livestock, less in agriculture. So maybe access to land, our agriculture officer is there, learned agriculture, he may focus on that too, that access to land may be a problem, access to resource may be a problem, but displacement is there, and we have got the data on that. And actually we have got huge list of the interviews with the government officials, their activities and how this project is interacting with them. So all of these are actually here, and we can see that they are very closely working with each other. They have got some more suggestions, details in the interviews, but all of them have mentioned that they're very actively involved in these programs, and they can see the positive waves of that. But for my suggestion, as I said, as a sociologist, as a gender, I work on gender for quite long, so I'm a little concerned that probably the awareness regarding gender and child could go a little up. And as you said, that the other indicators are quite satisfactory. I mean, it's much more than what the project actually is targeted. And from the FGDs and KIIs, actually, they were mentioning that one of the major reasons that this is a very integrated project, not focusing on only economic thing. So this is actually changing the social, cultural milieu of the area and also the mindset of the population. So this is actually having both direct, indirect, and various ways is affecting people's lives.
Thank you very much for your very good work and very nice presentation, of course. I have one question about the, I was just wondering about the incidence of waterborne disease, the diarrhea, that has increased quite a lot. Although you justified that this could be because of the study you have done during monsoon season. Do you know when the baseline study was done? I mean, which time of the year?
It was in spring.
It was in spring. But do you think, I mean, still, since sanitation and drinking water improved quite a lot, now to get waterborne disease...
Among the people who are suffering from this, less than 30% anyway, among them the diarrhea is higher, and that's why we were wondering that, I mean, maybe the program needs to focus on that, even if it's a small number still.
Yeah. So could there be any other reason there?
Yeah, the field study team, when they were asking about that, that's the answer they got. That was the time that the whole Bangladesh was suffering a lot regarding that, due to that. But and as we have seen that the people are using, 99% people are using actually tubal water. So one issue, my sense is that one issue may be actually personal hygiene, not the water access or sanitation, because another issue may be actually, I mean, this is a disaster-prone area, so maybe in monsoon, you know, the toilet bays may get sort of watery and some of the waste may spread, or maybe the personal hygiene may be issue. But what my concern is that whatever the reasons is, maybe the project needs to focus on that, because even if the number is very small, still is going against the intention of the project.
আমরা এখন চতুর্থ শিল্প বিপ্লব নিয়ে কথা বলছি জাতীয়ভাবে। তো এই যে 5 বছরের কাজ হলো, তার ফলে এই কয়টা ইউনিয়ন বা কয়টা উপজেলার মানুষজন কতটা প্রস্তুত হয়েছে এই চতুর্থ শিল্প বিপ্লবে অংশগ্রহণ করার জন্য? আর যদি ততটা প্রস্তুত না হয়ে থাকে, তাহলে আমাদের সরকারকে বা আমাদেরকে, যারা আমরা এনজিওরা কাজ করছি, কি করতে হবে বলে আপনারা মনে করেন?
They obviously didn't focus on that. But if I talk about my personal experiences, I have conducted several studies in recent time, one of UNESCO multi-country studies, and that showed quite high accessibility to ICT, even the children, school-going children. Just yesterday, I had an interview on a TV program that they were asking that was the percentage of children who are accessing ICT. So around 85% mentioned they had smartphone, 70% mentioned they have desktop or laptop access in the school. So from my experience, and I have got some other studies as well going on at the same time, academic and research based, and these are actually showing that Bangladesh is heading quite right, because that multi-country study shows Bangladesh is actually having more access to children. But the concern as a mother, as a sociologist, as a gender expert, my concern is actually what are the issues they are looking into, what are the ways they're using it, because I have seen they're using Facebook, Bangladesh having the highest Facebook users of the world, and gender balance is also there. So whether actually they're concerned about how to use ICT for more productive ways, and I have just completed another study for ADB that was on the technical education and ICT education, how to make them marketable, what are the challenges. And also there we found that there's a huge gap between the academic exposure of the children and at the same time the need-based market actually. I mean, what ICT market needs both nationally and internationally, whether our academia, whether our educational institutions are actually focusing on that. So I would rather raise the question as you, as a sociologist, to the concerned authorities that what they are thinking about that.
My question is that what is the sustainability of the project that you already looked for? And number two, what are the main weaknesses of that projects? First one is the sustainability and second one is the weaknesses that might be learning for the other projects. Thank you.
Regarding the sustainability, the major strength, what we have got from the field, from the interviews and others, the major strength is a very integrated approach. It's not like focusing only one aspect of the poverty alleviation, not only economic, not only social. So it's like comprising several issues. And it shows a very steady involvement of IGS. More people are coming into IGS, diversity of IGS are coming. So in that sense, and sensation, obviously, sensitization of the people has happened already. So in that sense, obviously, there is a huge chance of sustainability rather than, as you understand, that most of the projects people still feel like that they need more financial support, more institutional support. If I talk about the weakness, as I mentioned, that one of the issues is that the awareness regarding actually rights-based issues are still not up to the level compared to the economic achievement and other things. So that may be one, I think that one of the issues. And as I said that when we are talking about health, we have got loads of other data on our reports that health behavior and other things. So, and that also shows at the same time, not that many people are still accessing the mainstream government health facilities. So that may be another issue that the project can focus on.
I am encouraged in the sense that such type of project wind-up session is very rare for the NGOs in Bangladesh, and that Islamic Relief has done such a very good job. And I am also very excited that they have also invited some of the very intelligent and talented professionals, particularly the university professors, teachers, and some of the think tank, I must say, the very intellectual questions, and they have shared their ideas, which is very encouraging for us. Particularly the last part of the presentation, that the last session of the presentation was very fruitful for me, as because I asked some of the direct question to the presenter. What are the total project cost? What are the duration of the project? And whether you have checked what is the monitoring system. But fortunately or unfortunately, I learned that most of the researchers and the groups, they don't know what is the project cost, real project cost. And I'm sure, and I'm very much sure that most of the people, particularly the beneficiaries of those areas, that is the Bhola district and some of the Upazilas, the beneficiaries, they don't know what is the really project cost was. I am confident, I can tell it very confidently. And for your information, that the total project cost is 20 crore Bangladesh taka, BDT, 20 crore Bangladesh taka. And the duration was from 2014 to 2019. These are the 5 years project. And the first 2 presentation, they have seriously highlighted about the total socio-economic condition of those areas. They have truly mentioned some of the risk factors, some of the challenges, some of the measures that to be taken by the government or the non-government or the private sector or some other government officials. These are the, but my interest was particularly on the last presentation. Why my interest was for last presentation? I was very keenly listening the presentation, because before coming here, I asked Mr. Some of the program officer, anybody from, any official from NGO Bureau, did they visit your project for last 5 years? As because I am busy for 1 year here. Anybody visited your project? No, sir. This was the question. So during implementation, that was our mandate to inspect the, monitor the project implementation. We did not monitor the, and we did not visit the project during implementation. I asked the second question. What is the process of the project approval of, sorry Akmal, I am taking the whole thing in a very critical stand, okay? Don't. What is the process of designing the project by the NGOs, and what is the process of implementation of the project? I think the researchers, the honorable researchers, they are still in the dark. They have not studied. That's because the process and the data and the information was not put before them. I asked, after getting the project proposal from the NGO or INGO, we sent it to the concerned ministry. And I am sure the Relief and Disaster Ministry is the concerned ministry. We sent it to the ministry. And we got the consent, or we have not got the consent, but sure, we have got the consent from the ministry, and accordingly we approved the project. Then the second mandate was the Ministry of Disaster to monitor the activities if possible. We are bound. We are legally our obligation to inspect the project, but ministry does not have that. But ministry may, as because this is also their project. I asked that NGO did not invite any officials from the ministry to monitor this project. Yes, this is my, I don't know whether this is, so what happened? What happened? From the very good offices of the government, we did not inspect, so we don't know about the project. Thank you for your very good attention. আপনারা খুব মানে আমার দিকে খুব অ্যাটেন্টিভলি শুনছেন, আমি খুব ক্রিটিক্যালি বলছি কথাগুলো। সেকেন্ড কি থাকলো, বাংলায় বলি আর একটু তাহলে ভালো হবে। সেকেন্ড হলো কি হলো, তাহলে আমরা গেলাম না। কে যাবেন তাহলে? মাঠে যাবেন জেলা প্রশাসক। কেন জেলা প্রশাসন যাবেন? কারণ আমাদের সিস্টেমটা হলো এনজিও ব্যুরোর পক্ষে জেলা প্রশাসন এই প্রজেক্টগুলো লোকালি মনিটর করে থাকে। আমরা কিন্তু এখনো এই 3টা রিসার্চ পেপার থেকে জানতে পারিনি যে জেলা প্রশাসক অথবা উপজেলা নির্বাহী অফিসার এই প্রজেক্টটা ডিউরিং ইমপ্লিমেন্টেশন কখনো দেখেছেন কিনা। সুতরাং টোটাল মনিটরিংটা আমাদের, এটা আমাদের ল্যাবসের কথা আমরা বলছি, এটা যে তারা যে সবসময় দাওয়াত দিয়ে নিয়ে যাবে এটা না, এটা আমাদের ল্যাবসের কথা আমরা বলছি, আমরা যাই। সুতরাং টোটাল প্রজেক্ট ইমপ্লিমেন্টেশনের ক্ষেত্রে আমরা অ্যাপ্রুভাল দিয়েছি, কিন্তু আমরা এটা দেখিনি ডিউরিং 5 ইয়ার্স। চ্যালেঞ্জগুলো কি? আমি একজন ম্যাডামকে জিজ্ঞেস করেছিলাম যে ম্যাডাম, বিশেষ করে থার্ড পার্টে আমি আরও কেন বলছি এই কারণগুলো আমি আপনাকে বলবো, আপনি খুব উৎসাহিত বোধ করবেন। সেটি হলো আমরা কেউ যাইনি, কিন্তু আমরা কিন্তু অডিট একটা বিশাল সিস্টেম আছে, সেই অডিটররা কিন্তু কেউ মাঠে যায় না। আমরা 129 অ্যাবাউট সিএ ফার্ম, তারা একেবারে খুব ভালো সিএ ফার্ম আমরা সিলেক্ট করেছি। তারাও প্রজেক্ট ইভ্যালুয়েশন করে এবং তারা অডিট করে। সেই অডিট নিশ্চয়ই অফিসে তথ্য দেয়, সেই তথ্যের উপরে নির্ভর করে অডিট কমপ্লিট। এটা হলো আমাদের প্রসেস। আমি যেটা প্রজেক্টে দেখলাম সেটা হলো চমৎকার কিছু তথ্য আছে। সেটা হলো যে আমাদের অনেকগুলো সেক্টর ছিল, সেই সেক্টর লাইভলিহুড মিনস সাপোর্ট 3000কে দেবে। আমি জানি না 3000-এর মধ্যে কতজনকে দেওয়া হয়েছে, সেই ডাটা আমার কাছে নেই। ক্যাশ ফর ওয়ার্ক 2948কে দেওয়া হয়েছে, আরও কিছু কিছু দেওয়া হয়েছে। যে জিনিসগুলো করা হয় নাই সেটি হলো যে ফার্নিচার ফর স্কুল দেওয়ার কথা ছিল 24 স্কুলে ফার্নিচার দেওয়ার কথা ছিল, কিন্তু ডান পাশে দেখছি কোনো টাকা নেই। আমার মনে হয় দেওয়া হয় নাই, অথবা দেওয়া হলে সেই তথ্যটা নেই। আমি ধরে নিচ্ছি হয়তো দেওয়া হয়েছে কিনা। স্কুল ল্যাট্রিন রিনোভেশনের কথা ছিল, সেটা আমি দেখছি ডান পাশে কোনো টাকার ফিগার নেই, সুতরাং আমি মনে করছি হয়তো বা দেওয়া হয় নাই। দেওয়া হয়েছে তাই তথ্যটা নাই। স্কুল ল্যাট্রিন রিনোভেশনের কথা আছে, নিউ ল্যাট্রিন ফর স্কুলস এগুলো আছে কিনা, এগুলো দেওয়া হয়েছে কিনা, এইগুলো আমাদের দেখা দরকার। আরও কিছু আমরা যে টোটাল সেক্টরগুলো, আমি ম্যাডামকে জিজ্ঞেস করেছিলাম যে কোন কোন সেক্টর ওয়াইজ আমাদের বাজেট কত টাকা ছিল এবং সেই টাকাটা আমরা টোটালি এটা ব্যয় করতে পেরেছি কিনা সেটা আমি জানি না। আমরা এরপরে ম্যাডামকে অনেক ধন্যবাদ যে সুন্দর একটা রিপোর্ট দিয়েছেন এবং আমি খুব খুশি। I will consider this report as part of the project implementation. আমি এই রিপোর্টটা নিয়ে আমার প্রজেক্ট ইমপ্লিমেন্টেশনের একটা পার্ট করে নেব এবং সেটি আমি বিভিন্ন এনজিওকে অ্যাডভাইস করব যে এইভাবে চমৎকার করে একটা রিপোর্ট করেন। বাট আমি এনজিওর যারা ইডি এবং কান্ট্রি ডিরেক্টর অ্যান্ড আদার অফিসিয়ালস, আমি তাদেরকে অনুরোধ করব যে এ ধরনের রিসার্চ খুবই সুন্দর, কিন্তু এই রিসার্চগুলো করার আগে স্টেক হোল্ডার কারা, সেই স্টেক হোল্ডার অ্যানালাইসিসটা করতে হবে। আপনারা যারা রিসার্চ আছেন যে রিস্কগুলো কি, রিস্ক অ্যাসেসমেন্ট এগুলো কীভাবে হলো, রিস্ক অ্যানালাইসিসগুলো কীভাবে হলো, আমার স্টেক হোল্ডার অ্যানালাইসিসটা ঠিকমতো হলো কিনা। স্টেক হোল্ডার, আমি তো এনজিও বোর্ডের ডিজি হিসেবে আমি 1 নম্বর স্টেক হোল্ডার, অ্যানালাইসিস করা দরকার আমাকে, কিন্তু আমাকে অ্যানালাইসিস করা হয় নাই। ত্রাণ পুনর্বাসন মন্ত্রণালয় আপনার ভেরি ইম্পর্টেন্ট স্টেক হোল্ডার, তাই না এই প্রজেক্টের, তাদেরকে ইন্টারভিউ করা হয় নাই। আমার ডেপুটি কমিশনার ভেরি ইম্পর্টেন্ট স্টেক হোল্ডার, তাদের। সুতরাং এই গ্যাপগুলো আমি অনুরোধ করব, এখানে নিশ্চয়ই অনেক এনজিওর কর্মকর্তা আছেন, আপনারা যখন ইভ্যালুয়েট করবেন এইগুলো, এই বিষয়গুলো কনসিডারেশনে নিয়ে আসবেন যেন আমাদের এই রিপোর্টটা আরও গোটা সুন্দর হয়। এরপরে আমি বলবো যে ইসলামিক রিলিফ ইন্টারন্যাশনাল খুব চমৎকার একটি কাজ করেছেন, তারা রিপোর্ট ইভ্যালুয়েট করেছেন। এই ইভ্যালুয়েশনের পার্ট আমরা এটা দেখব এবং আমি যেটা এরপরে হয়তো আমার একটা কাজ হবে সেটা হলো যে এই আগামী মাসেই যে এই প্রজেক্টের অবস্থা মাঠের কি হচ্ছে, তাদের বেনিফিশিয়ারির সঙ্গে আমরাও কথা বলবো, আমরাও কথা বলে দেখব যে এই রিপোর্ট এবং বাস্তবে আমার বিশ্বাস যে একেবারে 95% 99% একেবারেই কারেক্টলি এটা আছে। আমরা এরপরে যে বাস্তবে একটু অভিজ্ঞতা নেব যে কিভাবে হচ্ছে। সুতরাং আমি ম্যাডাম আপনাকে ধন্যবাদ। আমার যে প্রজেক্ট ইমপ্লিমেন্টেশনের ফাইল থাকবে সেখানে আপনার এই রিপোর্টটা আমি ইডি ইসলামিক রিলিফকে অনুরোধ করবো যে এই নথিগুলো দেওয়ার জন্য, এই পেপারসগুলো দেওয়ার জন্য আমরা এটা করব। আমি আরেকটা জিনিস অনুরোধ করবো, আপনারা অনেকেই যারা আছেন, আমরা এসডিজির কথা বলছি, সাস্টেইনেবিলিটির কথা বলছি, যে বাংলাদেশ গভর্নমেন্ট এই সাস্টেইনেবিলিটির উপরে খুব জোর দিচ্ছে। আমরা এই প্রজেক্টটার সঙ্গে আমরা একটা চমৎকার কাজ করেছি এনজিও ব্যুরো, সেটা হলো আমরা যারা এনজিওতে আছেন তারা বুঝবেন এবং যারা রিসার্চ করেন তারা একটা চমৎকার জিনিস আপনারা দেখবেন, সেটা হলো FD6 ফরেন ডোনেশন ফর্ম 6। এটা খুব জনপ্রিয়, বহু পরিচিত। এখন যদি আপনি রোহিঙ্গা যান, রোহিঙ্গা ক্যাম্পে যান, দেখবেন FD7 একটি শব্দ খুবই ইম্পর্টেন্ট এবং জনপ্রিয় শব্দ। এইটা অনেকেই আমাকে জিজ্ঞেস করে যে আচ্ছা FD7টা কি বলো তো। FD7 একটা মানে মুখে মুখে শুনি, FD6 FD7 কিছুই না, এটা হলো ফরেন ডোনেশন নিয়ে এসে যে প্রজেক্টটা সাবমিট করে সেই প্রজেক্ট ফরম্যাট আর কি, সেই প্রজেক্ট ফরম্যাট। FD6 নিয়ে যদি আপনারা গবেষণা করেন এই 5 ইয়ার্সের, দেখবেন যে এটা একটা চমৎকার ইস্যু। আপনাদের এই রিসার্চের কাজে এইগুলো হেল্প হবে। আমাদের এনজিও বিষয়ক ব্যুরোতে চমৎকার একটা লাইব্রেরি করেছি আমি, আমি 1 বছর হলো জয়েন করার পরে ছোট একটা লাইব্রেরি ছিল, আমি একটা বড় রুম নিয়ে লাইব্রেরি করেছি। আমি দেখছি যে অনেক ভদ্রলোক আমার এনজিও ব্যুরোতে যায়, এনজিও ব্যুরোর অনেক ইন্টারন্যাশনাল ব্যক্তিবর্গ যায়, তারা বসে থাকেন অনেক সময়, দাঁড়িয়ে থাকেন অনেক সময়। আমি সেই লাইব্রেরির আয়োজন করেছি এবং লাইব্রেরিতে এনজিওদের রিলেটেড বহু বইপত্র, এই যে আপনারা দেখেন সিপিডি আছে না, সিপিডির নাম শুনেছেন তো, বিখ্যাত বিখ্যাত সব পাবলিকেশন। আমার ওখানে তাদেরকে বলা হয়েছে যে আপনাদের যে কোনো ইম্পর্টেন্ট ভালো একটা পাবলিকেশন হলে আমার লাইব্রেরিতে দেবেন। টিআইবি আপনাদের শুনেছেন, তারা অনেক রিসার্চ করে এবং সেই রিসার্চ আবার পাবলিকেশন হয়, পাবলিশড হয়, সাংবাদিক সম্মেলন হয়। আমি বলেছি এগুলোর অংশ আমার লাইব্রেরিতে দেবেন। আপনারা কখনো যদি আগ্রহ প্রকাশ করেন আমার লাইব্রেরিতে আসবেন, তখন দেখবেন যে এনজিওরা কিভাবে কাজ করছে এবং কি প্রসেসে তারা কাজ করছে। এটা আপনাদের জন্য ইট উড বি ভেরি হেল্পফুল ফর ইউর রিসার্চ অ্যান্ড স্টাডিজ। এইটুকু বলে সুন্দর কাজের জন্য ধন্যবাদ, এবং আগামীতে আমরা যখন একসঙ্গে কাজ করব, ভালো কাজ করব এবং আমাদের এই চ্যালেঞ্জগুলো থাকবেই। আমরা আশা করছি যে এই উদাহরণগুলো আরও অনেক এনজিও অনুসরণ করবেন, করে আমাদের যে মূল লক্ষ্য সেটা হলো একেবারে হতদরিদ্র মানুষের। সুন্দর একটি প্রশ্ন, আমি তো চমকে উঠেছিলাম যে 4th ইন্ডাস্ট্রিয়াল রেভলিউশনের অবস্থা কি এই ভোলাতে। সেই আমি স্যারের সঙ্গে বলছিলাম, স্যার এটা তো একটা কঠিন প্রশ্ন, 4th ইন্ডাস্ট্রিয়াল রেভলিউশন। আসলে দেখেন, আমি যে রিপোর্ট দেখলাম, মানুষের শিক্ষার হার 27%, 32% খেতে পায় না, হ্যাঁ, এইরকম সব রিপোর্ট না, এইসব রিপোর্টে এইরকম আসছে। কিন্তু ম্যাডাম চমৎকার করে উত্তর দিলেন যে আপনার 4th রেভলিউশনের অবস্থা খুবই ভালো, তাই না? কি মিরাকল! 4th রেভলিউশন অবস্থা ভালো, কারণ আমরা সকলেই 2-3টা মোবাইল ইউজ করছি এবং গ্রামের ভিতরে ইন্টারনেট কানেকশন নিশ্চয়ই ওরা হয়তো নিয়েছে, ওইভাবে স্লো হতে পারে, কিন্তু ইন্টারনেট কানেকশন। সুতরাং 4th রেভলিউশন, এই যে আমরা বলছি ডিজিটাল বাংলাদেশের স্বপ্নের কথা, এটা কিন্তু আর কি বাস্তব সত্য দেখেন। আমরা যতই ক্রিটিক্যালি দেখি না কেন, দেশ কিন্তু এগিয়ে যাচ্ছে, দেশ কিন্তু এগিয়ে যাচ্ছে এবং যাবে। বর্তমান সরকারের মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রীর কথা বলতেই হয়। মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রী দেখেন যে তার যে প্রোগ্রামগুলো, তার যে অগ্রাধিকার 10টা প্রকল্প আছে, প্রোগ্রাম আছে, সেই অগ্রাধিকার প্রোগ্রামগুলোর মধ্যে কি দেখেন আপনার, একটি বাড়ি একটি খামার। সেটি কার জন্য? হতদরিদ্র মানুষের জন্য। সকলের গৃহহীন মানুষকে গৃহ দেওয়া, সেটি কি বড় লোকের জন্য? বড় লোকের। এবং 10টি অগ্রাধিকারের মধ্যে অধিকাংশই হলো আপনার হতদরিদ্র মানুষের জন্য। সুতরাং আমরা সকলেই কাজ করছি ওই ভোলা তমিজউদ্দিনের যে সাধারণ মানুষের, সারা বাংলাদেশের যে সাধারণ মানুষের জীবন মান উন্নয়নের আমরা সকলেই একসঙ্গে কাজ করছি এবং আমরা সফল হব। আমাদের টার্গেট একেবারে সুনির্দিষ্ট, 2021 ডিজিটাল বাংলাদেশ, 2030 SDG ইমপ্লিমেন্টেশন, 2041 ডেভেলপড কান্ট্রি। ডেভেলপড কান্ট্রি হবে, এটা কিন্তু আর আবেগ অথবা মিথ্যার কোনো আশ্বাস না। অলরেডি উই হ্যাভ গ্র্যাজুয়েটেড ফ্রম লিস্ট ডেভেলপড কান্ট্রি টু এ ডেভেলপিং কান্ট্রি। আমরা অবশ্যই এগুলো বাস্তবায়ন হব। আমাদের জিডিপি গ্রোথ 8% আমরা ডিক্লেয়ার করছি, অনেক কিছুই আমরা করছি। আপনাদের অনেক ধন্যবাদ, দীর্ঘক্ষণ ধৈর্য সহকারে শুনলেন। আমি আবারও ইডি ইসলামিক রিলিফকে ধন্যবাদ এবং আই এম রিয়েলি থ্যাঙ্কফুল টু ইউ অ্যান্ড আই উইল রিকোয়েস্ট অল মাই এনজিও কলিগস ইফ anybody is here to arrange such type of program in future so that we can share our ideas and opinion. Thank you very much. Thank you.
দুর্যোগ ব্যবস্থাপনা ও ত্রাণ মন্ত্রণালয়ের সিনিয়র সচিব জনাব মোহাম্মদ শাহ কামাল স্যার, আমি আপনাকে বিনীত আহ্বান জানাচ্ছি আপনার বক্তব্য উপস্থাপনের জন্য।
Honorable Country Director, Islamic Relief Worldwide, respectable special guest, my colleagues, Mr. Salam, Director General NGO Bureau, and Program Manager, Mr. Enamul Haq Sarkar, distinguished researcher, learned professor, distinguished participants, Assalamu alaikum. I just to observe and hear that there is a 3 presentation and our special guest Mr. Salam, he has a critical path analysis about all presenter presence findings.
But I am a appraisalist because I worked last 35 years on the project. Because I am the student of management and I am IBA from Dhaka University. So I have so many knowledge about the project. I could not do analysis any of the presentation, those who are to present to dear participants in front. But I give some queries answer of a special guest, whether this is the project of disaster management ministry or not. Because from the NGO Bruce, when any international NGO to give a proposal to NGO Bruce, they send it to the opinion from the ministry. But that is the systems of the ministry, the opinion is given by the joint secretary. Not to the additional secretary, not to the minister, not to the secretary. Because that was the delegation of the authority. It is the part of the management. What we have to give the opinion, whether it is the related of disaster or not, nothing. Because we have no scope to give any critical analysis on the project. So, because I worked more than 4 years, means near to the 5 years in this ministry as a secretary. So, I cannot to say where the project is implemented, the Tazumuddin Bhola, what are their role and how they sense the people's economy and what are the poverty, and because in first presenter to show the river erosion. Because you know that Bangladesh is a disaster prone country and the Tazumuddin Bhola is a specialized natural disaster prone area. And we to face the cyclone, storm surge, and also tornado and other disaster also. But the Tazumuddin Bhola, it is not in to show the other areas of the country, because in Bangladesh the disaster at present there is a risk map and there is a hazard map, and we show the hazard map that up to the Upazila level the types of disaster. So Tazumuddin Bhola is a river erosion area, and the research findings was that how many people in the Tazumuddin Bhola and how many people are affected by the river erosion. Because in the whole country we are losses 10,000 hectares of land per year, and 68,000 people are migrated from one place to another place. But how many people are migrated from Tazumuddin Bhola to other place, there is no findings result. Maybe you have an answer, but I want to say that where is the migrated people? Because if we to see in the year of 2009, the total poverty rate was 42%. But in the year of 2019, it is the 22%. Out of 22%, it is already 20% to decrease. But in Tazumuddin Bhola, when the project is started in the 2014, how much percentage was under the poverty line? And at present, after to completion the project, what is the position of that locality in the poverty? And it should be considered why the Tazumuddin Bhola is decrease or increase to other upazilas. Is there comparison statement? Then we can to say this project is viable or not. If we to consider about the extreme poor, because in Bangladesh at present the 12.8% is the extreme poor. But the object of the government that after 5 years it will be the 5. But in Tazumuddin Bhola, at present, what is the extreme poor? Why they are the extreme? Is there any critical answer? It is only the river bank erosion or other disaster or other economical factors. So, there is two questions where from the audience that how they will do the sustainable or reflect to the result of the fundings. But it is a very difficult to give the answer. Because in Bangladesh, those we have the government project, and this project process from DPP to up to the passed by the ACNEC, then it is the implementation, whether it is the 3 years project, 4 years project or 5-year project, the monitoring system is very weak. Very weak. Because we are not to adopt the good monitoring system, but we do use some ICT, management information systems, data sharing, and so many things. But the result, it is not the result with management. The result is not so good. Then what we can do? Because it is the joint report, that may be the lesson learning for us. Because the river bank erosion recommendation, then the findings of the climate adapt and resilient findings, and to the findings of the monitoring and evaluation. This is almost the result of all GU and NGOs project result. This is more or less same. How we can to mitigate the challenge? How we to mitigate? In my experience, because I am served in the government about 34 years, that is my personal assumption that we need to build up our capacity. But how we to build up our capacity? We need more devotion towards the job, toward the works in both GU and INGO. And we give the more emphasis to the political government vision and mission. Well, what is the vision of the government about the disaster management? The government wants to reduce the risk reduction. What is the mission of the government? The mission of the government that the government want to reduce the poverty. Next 5 years, it will be the 12%. From 22% to 12%. What will be the extreme poor? Extreme poor will be the 5%. What we have to see in the developed country? The developed country is almost 4 to 5%. It is the extreme poor. The special guest already to explain that the vision of the government that in the year of 2021 we will to become the mid-level country. In the year of 2024, what will be happen? That is the certificate year for us as a mid-level country. 2030 with the hunger-free country. But it is a very challenging job, very challenging job. It is not only for the government, Here we need to the more cooperation from the GU, NGO in the whole society approach. Whole society approach. Then we can to execute that the Bangladesh will be the hunger free in 2030. In 2041 we will to developed country, and 2071 that will be the 100 years of the independence of Bangladesh, and that time we will to become the top 10 countries of the world. It is a very challenging job for us. But how we to equip that challenge and how we to mitigate that challenge? Because in the year of 1996, we have a target. We to set our target. Before that, we have no target. If now we have a target, how that will be the executed by us? It is almost we have an action plan. As per the action plan, we to acquire and we to gap to identify the gap and gap analysis, and as a result, inshallah, will to become our vision and mission successfully. I hope that this presentation will to open to our eyes, both eyes, not one eyes. And as a result, in future, GU and GU, we work together, and it will be the to mitigate our all challenges. Thank you all.
আজকের এই কর্মসূচির সম্মানিত প্রধান অতিথি, সম্মানিত বিশেষ অতিথি, চেয়ার, অধ্যাপকবৃন্দ, বিভিন্ন সংস্থা থেকে আগত শ্রদ্ধেয় গুণীজন, আমার সহকর্মীবৃন্দ, সুধীজন, আসসালামু আলাইকুম। আমি প্রথমে ধন্যবাদ জানাতে চাই আজকে এই যে এই প্রজেক্টকে বাস্তবায়ন করার জন্য যারা আমাদেরকে আর্থিকভাবে সহায়তা করেছেন, ইসলামিক রিলিফ জার্মান অফিসকে। আজকে তাদের আর্থিক সহযোগিতা ছাড়া আজকে হয়তো আমাদের এই কর্মসূচিটি বাস্তবায়ন করা সম্ভব হতো না। আমি ধন্যবাদ জানাতে চাই প্রধান অতিথি মহোদয়কে। উনি অনেক দিক নির্দেশনামূলক বক্তব্য দিয়েছেন, আমাদেরকে অনুপ্রাণিত করেছেন। আমি বিশেষভাবে ধন্যবাদ জানাতে চাই আজকের যে বিশেষ অতিথিকে। উনি অনেক ক্রিটিক্যালি আমাদেরকে অ্যানালাইসিস করেছেন। আমাদের শুদ্ধতার জন্য এই ক্রিটিক্যাল অ্যানালাইসিস অনেক কাজে লাগবে। তবে আমরা স্যার যে কথাটি বলেছেন যে 95% না, আমরা 100%ই করেছি ইনশাল্লাহ। আপনি যখন ফিল্ডে যাবেন দেখতে পারবেন যে আমরা 100% কার্যকরভাবে করেছি। এখানে আমাদের দুজন বেনিফিশিয়ারিজ আছেন, ওনারা জানেন, ওনারা অ্যাপেক্স বডির সদস্য। আমরা চলে আসলেও আজকে কর্মসূচিটা ওনারা 101টা সেলফ হেল্প গ্রুপ আছে, তাদের একটা অ্যাপেক্স বডি আছে, যারা তাদের কাছে আমরা হস্তান্তর করে চলে আসব। আমি ধন্যবাদ জানাই আজকের গবেষণা উপস্থাপনকারী অধ্যাপকবৃন্দ, সম্মানিত আপনারা বিশেষ করে আমি অধ্যাপক আব্দুল কাদেরকে ধন্যবাদ জানাই। উনি একটি বছর, সারা বছরব্যাপী উনি তাজুবুদ্দিন গিয়েছেন, এবং অন্যান্য যারা ছিলেন, রেজাউল ইসলাম স্যার, আমাদের সালমা আক্তার ম্যাডাম সহ ওনার সহকর্মীবৃন্দ। আমি বিশেষভাবে ধন্যবাদ জানাই আমাদের তজুমুদ্দিন উপজেলার যে উপজেলা কর্মকর্তা, বিভিন্ন সেক্টরের কৃষি কর্মকর্তা, লাইভ স্টক কর্মকর্তা, তারপর সমবায় কর্মকর্তা, মহিলা বিষয়ক কর্মকর্তা সহ সকলকে। আপনাদের সহযোগিতা ছাড়া আজকে প্রকল্পটি বাস্তবায়ন করা সম্ভব হতো না। আমি ধন্যবাদ জানাতে চাই আমাদের প্রকল্প বাস্তবায়নকারী সহকর্মীদেরকে, যারা নিরলস প্রচেষ্টায় আজকে এই কর্মসূচি বাস্তবায়ন করেছেন। আমি ধন্যবাদ জানাই সর্বোপরি সকল উপস্থিতি আপনাদেরকে। আপনারা আজকে আপনাদের সময় ব্যয় করে এখানে এসেছেন, কথা শুনেছেন, মূল্যবান মতামত দিয়েছেন। আমরা হয়তো সেভাবে প্রশ্ন নিতে পারিনি, তা আমরা আশা করব যে আমাদের দরজা সবসময় ওপেন আছে। যে কোনো বিষয়ে আমরা, বিশেষ করে 3টি বিষয়ের যে গবেষণা হয়েছে সেসব বিষয়ে আমরা উত্তর দেওয়ার চেষ্টা করব। এখানে না হোক আমাদের অফিসে হবে ইনশাল্লাহ। তো আজকে এই অনুষ্ঠানকে সফলমণ্ডিত করার জন্য আমি সকলকে ধন্যবাদ জানিয়ে আমার বক্তব্য শেষ করছি। আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
ধন্যবাদ সবাইকে।